TIFU by blowing my buddy's meticulous party cover-up to his parents. So this TIFU happened almost 20 years ago, but I just found out about it yesterday. High school graduation. Early 2000s. It was a heady time. Nickelback, Nelly, and Avril Lavigne ruled the airwaves. Nokia 6100s were state-of-the-art. Hard to explain to anyone who wasn't there. A friend offered to host a graduation rager for a group of us. Since his parents were out of town and had a decently sized place at the end of a quiet neighborhood, so we could party without interruption from the local constabulary. It was a hot day when we walked down the football field outside our school, received our diplomas, and were sent into the world. I grabbed my boyfriend. We took all the requisite pictures with both our families, and then immediately left for the party so we could get stupid drunk and celebrate the end of 4 years of hell. Luckily, this was a Midwestern state where underage drinking is the rule rather than the exception, with more bars per capita than most of the rest of the states combined. So easy to do. It was sweaty, frenetic, and a hell of a great time. As evening turned into night, I nodded knowingly at my friend, the host, and he winked and showed me to a guest bedroom. "All yours," he told me. "Have fun." I lured my boyfriend into the bedroom, locked the door, and showed him the box of condoms I'd bought. We had what I thought at the time was an amazing night, although I recognize it now as two inebriated and completely sexually inexperienced teenagers awkwardly grunting and thrusting for a few minutes. We managed to use 2 or 3 condoms, which I carefully disposed of by wrapping in a couple layers of tissues and throwing them in the trash. Next morning, hungover, we offered to help my friend clean up, and he waved us off. "I got it," he said. I gave him a big hug, and my boyfriend and I left for a whole day of hangover-related activities. Something I can only fantasize about at my current age. Almost 2 decades elapse. My boyfriend and I break up. We move to different states. I get married, have kids, and find myself back in the town I graduated in by random circumstances. So I hunted up a few people on Facebook, told them I'd be in town, and got together with them, one of them being my buddy who threw the party. As we began to reminisce, my buddy tosses a sly grin in my direction and points a finger at me. "I just want you to know," he said. "Remember that end of graduation party we threw? I got my ass beat because of you." And so he told me the story. He'd taken meticulous care to clean up after the party. He'd sorted through empty Zima, "You had to be there," and Miller Lite cans and distributed them carefully in other recycling bins nearby. He'd cleaned the house thoroughly, did the laundry, cleaned ashes out of the backyard fire pit, strategically placed surly teenager-type messes in appropriate locations, as if he'd played Xbox all weekend. The whole 9 yards. His parents came back home, and for 3 days, nothing happened. Then one morning, his mom approached him angrily, jabbed a finger in his chest, and said, "What the F happened here last weekend?" Apparently, this was maybe the first time in his life my buddy had ever heard his mom curse. And she was pissed, but it seems his cleaning was not as thorough as he thought. Now, I was confused. It had been almost 20 years. True, but I remembered distinctly having wrapped up these condoms thoroughly in Kleenex. Nobody was unrolling what looked like might be a snot rag. So even if he missed emptying the trash in that room, it should have been okay. Well, unfortunately, nobody, didn't include his dog. His dog, who fished at least 2 used and very full condoms out of a garbage can, carried them into the living room where his parents were sitting, and proceeded to completely shred them, flinging the contents all over the carpet, furniture, and walls. I mean, shredded and flung everywhere, like a Jackson Pollock painting. Since they weren't his, he was forced to admit that maybe some people had come over and ended with him having to clean up the detritus from our drunken sexual escapades. I was understandably aghast. I asked him why he didn't say anything sooner, as I would have absolutely and deservedly taken the fall for it. And he waved it off. "Didn't want to embarrass you," he said. "That's what friends are for, folks. I'm sorry, but friends don't come better than that." I bought him all the drinks he wanted and paid for his dinner. And Facebook messaged my ex to tell him he owed our buddy a bottle of expensive liquor for his trouble. TLDR. My buddy tried to hide the fact he hosted a graduation party at his parents' house. And was found out because his dog found our used condoms and shredded them in front of his parents. Like and subscribe for more.